Alright, what's up guys? First of all, same as the thing we always start off with, how's the audio? Give me a feedback if the audio is good. Can you guys hear me alright? How's the audio? Good? Alright, perfect. So, as you can tell, I've got my voice back, at least temporarily. For now, let's cross our fingers. Hopefully this stays this way. But we're here, we're Beach Week 2017. Got only a couple weeks left until the start of the 2017 football season. So we're going to be shooting these live periscopes every single day, 12:30 Eastern. We've got a number of guests lined up, and today we're fortunate. I'll introduce him on in a second, but we've got Bill Krackomberger, a legitimate pro bettor out in Las Vegas, makes a living doing this. He's going to talk to us about the football season. We're going to rehash some of how he and I got started back several years ago. And we're also going to talk about the big fight that's coming up, Floyd Mayweather versus McGregor. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know today is the last day for the 2017 early bird discounts. So if you guys want to get on board for this upcoming season, you know that the write-ups and the information that we're giving out to clients on a daily basis are some of the best in the industry. Actually, we'll talk to Krackman a little bit about his disbelief at the rates that I'm charging. But the reality is you can pay later. You don't have to pay now. You can pay at the end of the season. If you want to get on board, now's the time. But we're here at the beach. We're going to talk football every single day. At the end of this, hold your questions right now because I'm not filming, so I'm not watching your questions. But at the end, we're going to take a bunch of questions. So you can chime in with whatever you want right now. We'll do the questions at the end. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Krack. He's down here at the beach with us. So, welcome, buddy.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
How's it going? So, this is Krack. As you guys know, Bill Krackomberger. How long, let's go ahead and just start with the background. How long have you been doing this as a pro bettor?
Betting sports professionally, about 25 years. You know, growing up on the East Coast, you always want to live a fast-paced lifestyle, and you always want to get ahead somehow without doing any hard work. So I got into this years ago being a gambler. I was a gambler, and I was a losing gambler. And someone showed me the path to being a professional gambler, that, you know, making money, having a statistical and mathematical edge. And I have learned over the years exactly that. And I've worked with some of the sharpest guys in the world, absolute sharpest guys. And you're the only one that I ever endorsed that sells games, because, you know, most guys in my mind, the way my mind's always thought is, if you're selling games, why not just bet on them, and you can make a lot more than you can make selling games. But I have changed my opinion over the years, especially meeting you when you said you can win in the NFL, and I kind of didn't believe anyone could beat the NFL. The syndicate groups that I've worked with in the past had very tough times beating the NFL. Your NFL totals are second to none. I wouldn't have come across the country on a preseason weekend if I didn't believe that.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate that. So you've been doing this for a while. This guy's been working with tons of really, really smart people. Now, let's do this because I think that people would find this interesting. They're always, these guys look at betting and DFS, all this stuff, as a weekly thing. What is a week like for you? I mean, this is your full-time job, and obviously football is king. It's the biggest time of the year. Just take us through real quick in a minute span. I know it's hard to sum up.
Yeah.
What do you do on a given week?
The guys that I work with actually on Sunday, Sunday before the following week, we're working a week early on Sunday, waiting for the lines to come up for the following week. And when the line comes up, we already have a line on most games before the lines come up. And that's another thing people think. People think the Vegas line. Absolutely not true. The Vegas line is a myth. It used to be maybe, and then there was a company, LDSC, years ago in Vegas. But the real sharp line comes from Costa Rica. San Jose, Costa Rica opens up a line, and everyone copies that line in Vegas and copies that line offshore. So we wait for the line to come up offshore. We wait for everyone in Vegas to copy that line, and then we pounce. And a lot of times on Sundays, we'll actually, like I said, we'll have our lineup ahead of theirs. So we'll actually wait till Monday until everyone copies their lines to start betting. So, but throughout the week, as the totals come up later in the week, because the totals on the college football and even the NFL doesn't really come up till later in the week, and full limits don't come up till later in the week. So every day is running around betting different places, and that's basically what I do. It is a job. It is something that when people say, "Oh, you really don't work." Well, that's not true, because years ago when I did all my own handicapping, my own power ratings, my own power rankings, it was 70, 80 hours a week. But now I found some of the sharpest guys in the world that are the statistical, mathematical, analytical geniuses like you, and I let you guys do the work, and I basically, do the betting. I bet. So that's what I do. It's a much easier way for me to live my life too. It frees up some time for me in the summertime. I usually don't do a lot of work in the summer. It's mostly college football, college basketball, NFL, and like I said, to have these people that I've been working with, a lot of them couldn't go to the counters and make bets. Their brains don't function on that level. A lot of them are socially not the right kind of people that can go around making bets. They'd be scared to hold, $2,200 and go up to a counter. They would probably fail, actually, believe it or not. They probably actually would lose money. So that's basically what I do every week.
So I think one of your points, obviously great, in that a lot of guys who play DFS, they just refer to all the lines as Vegas. The Vegas line. Vegas is at this, but the reality is, I think one of the big drawbacks for the people who analyze DFS and focus on DFS specifically is they understand line movement, but they don't understand that those markets are being manipulated at times. And just because a number has 60% of the action or 70% of the action at a certain line does not necessarily mean that you can figure out the sharp side of that game just by looking at that line on a Wednesday afternoon or a Thursday morning. The reality is, it takes a lot more work than that. If it was that easy, Crack wouldn't have to work as hard as he does. If everybody could figure out the sharp side of the game on Wednesday morning, it would be easy, but that's not the way it works.
And it's funny you talk about line manipulation. I probably wouldn't talk about this with anybody else. I have done ESPN and CNN, Fox. I have done some things with reporters. I let them pick a game. I was interviewed by the Daily News one time. I let them pick a game. They picked the game, and I said, I'm going to move that game all in the country. The whole country is going to move the game, just based on me making a couple bets. And I could be betting the wrong way, just to get a better line. So on a Sunday night, on a key number, there is some certain games that will bet the wrong way for the small minimal limits that they have, $500 or $1,000, and be able to get down the right side at a better number later in the week for tens of thousands.
Right, yeah, exactly. So now the other thing too that a lot of people may not understand is, with the totals that I'm giving out to my clients, these things move quickly. You can't just be, if you're going to be using the service, you can't just be sitting on your hands waiting to get the email. Well, not even waiting. You get the email and you got it. The email came in at noon, but now it's 4 o'clock, and you go to your sports book to look to bet that. How quickly do a lot of the games that I'm putting out move, and how many points could they move in 1 to 2 hours or even a full day?
Right. They absolutely correct. When you give out a game, you probably have about 15 minutes to get that game in with your NFL totals. And I love that you're not the only one out there that bets NFL totals, because a lot of times now, later in the week, we'll find some numbers that actually bounce back and move against us. But that's wonderful. That's great, because I have so much confidence in you and what you've done over the last years that I've known you. I know that you're going to win in the end. So I let them hit away and let them bet away, because I know that in the end you're going to win. Your totals win. Your NFL wins. And absolutely, though, at the beginning, you have to get that key number, especially when we're betting key numbers around 43, 44, 47. These are the key numbers in the NFL. So you want to make sure that you do get that number. And I know you recommend even buying the certain numbers, which is okay on key numbers, without a doubt. So it is imperative that they have their man ready and they can pounce at the time when you say pounce.
So now let's change the subject to less information, a little bit lighter. What is one of your favorite things about being in Vegas and having access to the books? I know there's a lot of negatives. People think it's all glamorous, right? And it's a lot of work, it's very difficult. First, tell them one thing that you really enjoy about it, and then go ahead and tell them the reality about a lot of the difficulties that you deal with trying to be a pro bettor out in Vegas, where a lot of books don't even want action.
a lot of books for people at home and people like in the middle of America, they don't realize how hard it is to bet. Now, the NFL is a different animal. I could bet some decent money in the NFL. It's an old, thing in Vegas and with bookmakers in general that you can't beat the NFL. So they kind of book pretty high in the NFL. But especially for college football, especially college football totals, I have such a difficulty getting down on them because the sports books, only take $500 a play. Some of the bigger books like the MGM and the Caesars, they'll take a dime or $2,000. One dime means $1,000. They'll take a dime or 2 dimes on the play, but you have to have a rating card. You have to be a known player. You have to give ID. It's amazing. People think you can just go to Vegas and bet what you want. Absolutely not. If you bet $3,000 or more cumulatively, collectively on anything, you have to have your ID. That's the way it is in Vegas now. It's a Title 31 law. It's an internal law. People don't realize that. Even that when you go to cash out from the blackjack table, if you leave with more than $3,000, you're going to have to give your ID at the cage to cash in. And so it is difficult. It is difficult to get games in when I'm in Vegas. It's difficult to get down. I have to try to sneak around and bet little amounts under the max limit a lot. So I'll try to actually, not that I'm circumventing, but which I would, by the way, but not that I'm circumventing, but I try to bet a little bit less where it's not an approval is not necessary. They don't have to call to the back to get a supervisor's approval. And it's amazing when that happens too. They take it so personal. It shocks me how personal these people that work in Las Vegas take it when all I'm doing is betting legally like you guys want. I'm laying 11-10. You're holding my money, by the way, and they get upset. They took a bet. Oh my God, this guy bet the max limit. Well, then don't have a max limit. Lower it down. Put $200 a game. That's what Vegas wants. That's what the bookmakers want. They want someone that comes in, bets their $100 parlay cards, $200 parlay cards, enjoys it, has fun, roots for their home team. So that is kind of frustrating for a guy like me, is that they just want guys that come in and just bet favorite and over and hope they can just book basically a one-way action in layman's terms. They really would love for everyone to come in, bet the favorites, bet the overs, and by the way, they're going to skew the lines on you and make the lines a little higher. So that's the frustrating part. Good parts about Vegas, sunshine like this all the time. I mean, it's great. There's coming from where I come from back east, we had 4 seasons a year. So Vegas is it's a nice place where especially I live like right in the center of it all, so I could just pop down my building and walk around, and I have the strip right there for me, and I can eat the best foods in the world, and go out and get massages, and it's amazing how right at my my fingertips I can do everything I want in Vegas. It's almost like Manhattan, but without the snow, rain, and the ice.
Now, you're living a certain lifestyle right now that you may not have been living when you first got out there.
May not have, 100% not have.
So tell us what it was like when you first got out there, the type of work that you had to do. No, you don't have to give us specifics if you don't want to, but the type of work and the type of involvement you were doing back in the years ago.
When I first started, I started this with $1,000. I had literally $1,000, and this is 20-some years ago, and I was schooled by someone that said, hey, you can make money betting sports, and there is a positive EV, it's expected value on sports betting, and basically that I found out some different ways in the beginning, doing my own work, doing my own research. I found some different ways to make money in sports books, which I still know ways, which I don't ever reveal. There is some ways that you can make some money in sports books and stuff, and I did it on a small scale. I did it betting $20, $25, $30. It was like hit and miss, trial and error. And sure, I mean, everyone starts somewhere. Listen, I worked 3-4 jobs when I was a kid at one time. I worked on the boardwalks, I worked in arcades, I was in detailed cars. I was a regular guy. I still feel I'm a regular guy, though, But yeah, I started out small, and I understand people when they're betting sports, especially if they're just starting out, I always say, hey, listen, you really should bet a percentage of bankroll. You never should go in with $1,000 to your name and start betting $300 a game. You really should bet 1 to 2%. I understand on our stuff that we're involved with, it does have a mathematical edge. So I would say you're able to bet 5%. So I know that sounds small, but you don't want to go overboard and start chasing, because human nature is to chase. It's amazing. I've been around such guys that are so intelligent, but yet when they go to make bets, all that goes out the window if they start losing. I have no emotion to what I do. I don't even watch most of the games. I get the results at the end of the day. I know I'm going to have winning weeks, losing weeks. I'm going to have losing weeks, but I'm probably not going to have a losing month. I have had one or two, but I'm never going to have a losing quarter, and we've never had a losing NFL season. So just, you have to bet percentage of bankroll. You have to have an allotment on the side that you're gambling with, and that's it, and use that percentage of bankroll, because we're going to have losing weeks. But in the end, we're not going to have a losing football season, that's for sure.
Right. So now, one of the cool things, guys, that we're going to be doing this year is Crack's going to be starting up a site that I'm working with him on, crackwins.com. The site's going to go live before the start of the football season, and you're going to be able to sign up for subscriptions or packages to be able to get games that Crack himself is betting. Now, if you want NFL totals, that I'm going to be doing the NFL totals, obviously, but if you want all of his NFL sides, all his college football stuff, any other parlays that he's doing, or any other things that we're going to talk about in a second, such as the Floyd Mayweather fight, you're going to be able to go to crackwins.com and get all that information. Tell me a little bit. I know I sort of changed your opinion about the ability to be a winning handicapper. Most of those guys have a negative connotation. Most of those guys, trust me, I've kind of steered away from that industry a bit because I don't have very much in common with any of those people. You know, you kind of go to people that you have more in common with, and most of those people don't do a lot of homework. They don't do a lot of analysis. They don't put their money where their mouth is, and they don't win. And so I've kind of done my own thing, isolated myself, doing my own thing with the games. For a while, you didn't like any of those people. You've come around a little bit more. Tell the people, because I think it's great that he's going to be able to share some of the stuff that he's down on for you guys, to help you guys out. Tell them a little bit about what you hope to deliver to the people with this type of website.
Well, I know the level of betting that I do makes it tougher and tougher every year for me to get down on games. I've been thrown out of so many sports books, thrown out of so many casinos, not thrown out, they don't walk you to the door, but they say, hey, we don't want your business no more. I've been thrown off the apps in the casinos in Vegas. I've been limited in the casinos in Vegas. I've been lied to and told that, oh, the line just changed, someone bet it in one of our other sister properties, which is absolutely not true. But that's their defensive way of not taking a bet. So, and like I said, the level I've been betting on, I just decided, everyone telling me over the years, you should start selling some games yourself, and I've been against that. I was always against that until I met you. And there's a couple other services out there that actually are winning services, but 99% of them are just marketing guys that market games. They don't bet on the games. They don't have any, they really have no interest in doing anything else. Okay, you want to go by?
All right, we're gonna move. We're gonna bring this inside.
Okay.
We're getting some comments that you can't hear too much. Just keep the filming. Let's see. I'll hold the camera for a second. Are we still got some people on here? All right, we're gonna go to a little bit better setting. You gonna take the elevator or just take the stairs?
Stairs are fine.
Go ahead. Let's go down the stairs. All right, guys, we're gonna go down the stairs.
Just turn on the lights on there. Yeah, the wind was getting pretty loud.
How's this?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, guys. Hopefully this will be a little bit better. All right, so Crack was saying.
I was continuing with a lot of the touts that I've always seen, and even the guys that were even winning bettors. I don't know what the deal is, but it just seems to me like they do a lot of marketing, and they're marketing a lot of games and they're just more into selling games than they were handicapping. And then there's those services that advertise 65, 70% all the time. And I always wanted to challenge those guys. If you could hit 70% over a season. It's a shame because the public at home sees that and says, well, hey, I got to join this. And they spend their money on it. And then at the end, the only winner is the tout selling the game. So I've always hated those guys. And I know a lot of people that were taken by these guys in the past. growing up in the New York, New Jersey area, we used to have the New York Daily News. It was filled with tout stuff, people selling games. So it's a shame that people see that and they just get taken. And there's hardly any services that win. It's been documented. So I just thought it was time to open up a site myself, and I asked you about it and what you thought, and yeah, here we are. I'm actually gonna do it for the first year. So
yeah, so that's gonna be really good, guys. A lot of good, you know, a lot of good recommendations from Krack. If you're not gonna get write-ups, you're not gonna get that type of stuff. He's, as you can tell, he doesn't have very much time in his day. He's gonna give you the games that he's on, and you're gonna win, and that's that. With me, I'll give you a lot more analysis. And again, he's gonna be doing a lot more sports and that sort of thing. I'm gonna be focusing on what I normally focus on. With that said, let's talk about something that you guys are probably interested in hearing about, and that relates to the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight. And Krack came out last night. We were talking about the fight. He was getting on the phone and getting some last second updated information. A lot of really interesting stuff. Well, I'll just let you take the floor here.
yeah, you know, this is one of the biggest betting fights. It's actually going to be the biggest betting fight of all time. And I just texted Jimmy Vaccaro last night, who was one of the legendary bookmakers in Las Vegas. He was handpicked by Steve Windhope in the Mirage. He's now running the South Point, Michael Gaughan's property there, which is a real big gambling property. South Point is really probably one of the #1 gambling properties. People don't know that. They have a big sports book and they book high. Perfect example. $880,000 was placed on Floyd Mayweather a couple nights ago. You can Google it; it's in the news. The Maloof family, who previously owned the Palms, the Maloof brothers, made a bet on that fight, and the bet they made was, I think it was two $440,000 bets. They had to break it up to win approximately $160,000, and they're doing it for charity. If Floyd wins, they're gonna give the money to charity. So Jimmy confirmed that last night. But my question to Jimmy was, Jim, what's the percentage of bets going on in Vegas right now? What percentage of bets is being bet on Floyd or McGregor? Of course, people are betting McGregor. So at a 12-to-1 ticket count, people are betting McGregor. However, we all know that most people don't like Floyd. And there's more UFC fans. They probably outnumber boxing fans 5-to-1. So people are just betting McGregor with their hearts. And the odds keep on lowering and lowering and lowering, getting down to almost 4-to-1 yesterday. I see -420. So they're going to, in the end though, the casinos, not just Jimmy's casino, most of the casinos or all of the casinos in town are going to need Floyd Mayweather to win, because that's the side they want. They feel the square side is the dog side. I do too. Here you have Floyd Mayweather, who has been in at least 20 lined fights where there has been a line on the fight with professional boxers that have been 4-to-1 or greater. Now you're going against a UFC guy who's, you know, he's a lot of talk and stuff. I understand that. And yes, he's a pretty tough guy in the UFC when he can use those particular skill sets he has, his feet, his elbows, whatever it may be. This is a boxing match. And I think that really Floyd is going to beat him. If Floyd doesn't beat him in 4 or 5 rounds, I think it's probably a disgrace to boxing. So that's also an option to bet. The sportsbooks will have that up there, Floyd Mayweather to win by knockout. But even decision, where I'm laying the money. I'm laying the money line on Floyd myself. But Jimmy said that in the end, they're going to need Mayweather to win, and this is the most unbelievable part. There's going to be a 50-cent straddle with the South Point Casino, which is great because most casinos, they're charged -550 plus 375. If you're laying the favorite, you're laying 550 to win 100. If you're betting the dog, you're betting 100 to win 375. That juice in between, that 175 in between, is all the juice, the profit for the sports books. Well, South Point is going to have a 50-cent straddle. I believe it's the last day or last couple days before the fight. And what that means is, if it's -4-to-1, it's going to be plus 350, or -450 plus 400. That's probably going to be the best line in Las Vegas to bet on, for sure. So, but Jimmy confirmed that to me last night, and they're taking huge volume on the fight, huge. Like I said, they took an $880,000 bet on Floyd, and they still need Floyd to win, and they will because they're writing tickets at a 12-to-1 pace. Money on the fight is all coming in on the dog. I expect some sharp money to come in the last day. That happens a lot with fights too. It comes in the last day. Not only that, the last hour. So I would keep your eye on that. And I recommend. I usually don't like ever betting big favorites like that. Never. You're very, very rarely gonna. I'm mostly a dog guy in any sport anyway. So, and sadly for boxing, this fight, which is almost a circus fight, is overshadowing Triple G and Canelo 3 weeks later, which is a real fight. It should be a great fight. So that's just some of the input there.
So the people want to know this particular case. You already got down a little bit on Floyd, and you're going to go back to Vegas and get down to some more
Absolutely.
at the very end.
Absolutely. I'll have 5 figures on the fight, and good 5 figures too, not just 10,000 on the fight by the time the fight comes for sure. Right. And I know some guys that are planning to bet big, much more than me. I know one guy that texted me this morning who's a very, very sharp guy. He'll be betting hundreds and hundreds of thousands on Floyd by the time the fight starts.
So there you go, guys. We got some good information on Crack. And the good thing about Crack, I mean, just so you guys know, we're going to be doing some more of these. We're going to be shooting some other videos this evening that maybe will or will not be Periscopes, but we'll put them up on the site. You know, you want to talk to Crack about boxing, he knows boxing. You want to talk to him about NFL, he knows NFL. But he's not the type of guy who's going to tell you all the players' names. Like you said, a lot of games he's not going to watch. He showed up at the house yesterday with a stack of tickets from Delaware Park.
Right.
Tell him what you were doing in Delaware Park, and you didn't even watch a single one of those games.
No, I didn't watch any of the games. No, I just put some mathematical advantage together. And you know what? I thought about it upstairs. I said some stuff I'm going to talk about that I'm not going to talk about, actually. And eventually I will. On my side, I will talk about those advantages that I have over the casinos that the customers and viewers at home can have on a smaller scale themselves. Just like in Delaware Park. I was backed off last year from Delaware Park from betting the parlay cards that they have. Didn't win a lot of money, maybe won like 15 grand. But I had a chance to win like 40 or 50 one week because they got a little nervous, I guess, and they realized their exposure and limited me. But however, yesterday I went right to Delaware, and they have liquor stores everywhere that sells them. The state lottery runs it. And I said, let me put some $100 parlay cards in, and they went right through. So I need Atlanta Falcons minus 2.5, by the way, for a good score. But anyway, yeah, so that would round out some of the parlay cards. I did check them last night before bed. But I don't watch them the games. There's no emotion. I understand it. Thank God there's those guys on ESPN and guys on the Fox Sports Net and the retired players and the guys on ESPN touting games and saying this happens and this happens. Thank God for them, seriously. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to make money like I do. So, telling people the wrong information about games. Especially when they hired some guys on there that, my God, they've hired some guys on there that says the sharp side of the game, and meanwhile, I had the other side. I called you up that day. Yeah. I was in Lake Tahoe, and I said, I can't believe what this guy just said is the sharp side of the game. It's just amazing. There's just no due diligence. They give these guys TV shows on their own networks. It's like, did they owe someone money? How did these guys get their own shows on TV? I don't understand. There's some of the other networks. I think it was MSNBC or it's so bad because the public doesn't know at home. They're so gullible. They see Vegas. They see the bright lights. They see the stacks of money. You know, hey, listen, we could have brought stacks of money here and did the same thing. But this is how they sell. When the people see money, they get materialization joints. Oh my God, how can I do that? Or how can it's the girls on their arms, the stacks of money. It's just like. It's such a manipulative thing. It makes you, but our mind, the human nature, the human element, the internal instincts of us says, wow, I want to be that guy for a weekend. I want to do that. And unfortunately, they get taken. They buy their picks. They get taken from them. And it's a sad thing. But hopefully they learn by their mistakes. That's all I can tell you. And join guys like us.
Yeah, people are going to make mistakes. It's whether or not you can learn from it, become smarter, be better. So what we're going to do before we take a couple questions, hopefully you guys have been thinking of some questions and you can ask him or ask Crack or myself. Want to remind you that tomorrow we're going to be joined by Evan Silva on at 12:30. He'll be on just a few minutes after 12:30. We're going to talk about some of the overachievers that we're predicting for this upcoming NFL season, some of the teams that we think are going to underachieve, whether it's players or teams. So we're going to get a lot more football talk starting tomorrow. And every day over the course of the week, we've got a number of different guests lined up. Scott Barrett's going to be on with us from Pro Football Focus on Tuesday. We've got Brad Evans from Yahoo.com. He's going to be on Wednesday. And we're going to get a couple other guests lined up for Thursday and Friday. So every single day this week, we're going to be talking a lot of football, a lot of detail. Wanted to get Crack before he leaves town to go back to Vegas to get down on the Floyd fight and go out there with Teddy Atlas, his good friend. We wanted to get his take on the fight, his take on what he does and how he does it. And so I think we accomplished that today. We're going to get him on some more videos tonight, some more tomorrow before he leaves on Tuesday. With that said, guys, fire away. Any questions, anything you got?
Yeah, first question for Billy. What do you think the actual line of the Mayweather fight should be, in your opinion?
The fight price should be around -20 to 1, and I would probably, it's hard to believe I would lay that. I don't see myself laying anything like that. No, I probably wouldn't lay 20 to 1. But that's more of an accurate price. And that's not only from me. That comes from some of the sharpest boxing minds in the world that I'm around. Yeah, 20 to 1 is more of a fair price. But they can't price it at 20 to 1 because of the UFC fans outnumbered the boxing fans 10 to 1, like I said before. And most people don't like Floyd. It's more of a bet against Floyd, and it's a bet on McGregor, and you know, that's what I think the true price should be.
And a follow-up to that is, how low do you think the Floyd price will actually get before the sharp action?
I asked Jimmy Vaccaro last night, I said, do you foresee this thing going less than 4 to 1? He said no, but I see the offshore lines -415 right now. So, and that's of course, the offshore line is an indicator of where the Vegas line is going to go in 99% of the sports. So I see the line going at -4 to 1. You know, when Pacquiao fought Mayweather, people said, oh, it can't go below 2 to 1. I laid 165 and 170 at stations right before the fight. So, and this was a fight that was -3 to 1 only 6 hours before. I see it going down to 4 to 1 for sure, -4 to 1.
Okay, this one for Warren, NFL question about Ezekiel Elliott, and how are you taking his suspension into effect for any of your futures, and how would you go about betting the Cowboys in any way?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to struggle. Look, they start the season off against the number 1, the number 2, and the number 4 pass defensive inefficiency last season. So very good pass defenses. Ezekiel Elliott, by far the most successful running back in the NFL last year, even though he was a rookie. That offensive line was also a lot stronger than it is this year. They lost a couple of their starters on the offensive line. What people also have to realize about the game itself is just common sense game theory. Their defense has 3 defensive linemen suspended for the start of the season. They also lost some guys in their secondary. Over the course of the year, I love their defense coordinator. I don't think he gets enough credit. But over the course of the year, they might get stronger. But to start the season, that defense probably won't be where they were last year. In addition, I also think that the run game is not going to be where it was last year. Of course, there's no Zeke. The offensive line is a little bit weaker. So in turn, what's going to happen is more on Dak Prescott's plate. Now, I love Dak Prescott. I think he's had a tremendous rookie season, obviously. His room to grow from that is going to be incredible. I think Dak is going to be really good this year. He's going to be carrying this team this upcoming season, especially to start the season. So I'm really strong on what I think Dak's going to bring to the table, and I'm really strong on what I think the Cowboys are going to be able to do, but they're going to have to turn into a more pass-heavy team, and I think it's ultimately going to lead to less success. They won double-digit games last season. I think they're going to lose a couple more games than they won last year. Still probably slightly over a 500-win team, but I don't think they're going to be the same as they were last year.
On a footnote on that too, just to let the viewers know, something that I feel. Just because a key player goes down, it doesn't necessarily mean that automatically you have to bet under season wins. Especially now, it's out there that Elliott's out. So right away, people say, oh my God, I got to bet under season wins. Well, that's already taken into account with the bookmaker. They've already adjusted the line, probably over-adjusted because they know the square way of thinking people are going to bet this under. So you have to remember that. It's already in the line. And secondly, a professional player is stepping into his shoes to play. And a lot of times the teams will get themselves up around that, knowing that he's out, and we have to step up here, guys. So a lot of times when I have a guy that's injured, and especially, I'm going to relate it to a basketball game, when a big name's out of a basketball game and the line moves and overmoves, I'll actually bet that team after the move comes in. I'll bet the injured team, because I told you, the person that's going to step in his shoes is a professional player that probably could start on any other team. Secondly, I'm going to wait for the public to pounce on that dog or lower that line, and I'm going to actually bet the team that's injured or bet the Dallas Cowboys season wins over after the public is already betting all under money. Because not only are they betting money, moving the line, the bookmaker's anticipation is lowering that line and even over moving that line, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, just over-adjusting. Yeah.
Over-adjusting.
I got one more for each of you. Last one for Billy is, what sport do you think you have the biggest advantage in? And follow up that was they wanted to know the site name again and what your subscription cost will be.
Okay, college football has always been the most successful. I've won a ton of units in college football over the years. This season was very strange. We started with baseball. This is only my third year betting baseball, because professionally anyway, I've always played it up until the All-Star break and then quit. This year's baseball season surpassed my college football season. I never, ever would dream I'm having this. I have had so much success baseball season that I wouldn't even say they're winning how many units I'm up, because probably no one would believe it, but it doesn't matter. As long as I know it, the money's in my pocket. But college football has been the most successful, and the site is Krackman with a K, my last name Krackomberger, so Krack, K-R-A-C-K, wins.com. And haven't come up with a price yet. You know, it's funny, speaking of price though, I thought Warren, for what he has for the season, was ridiculous how cheap. I didn't know till last night how much your season was. And I just thought it was like, I said, what? How can that be so cheap for the whole season? But I understand people don't bet what I bet, and people don't bet a lot of money. So if they're betting $300, $400, $500 a game, I guess that's in line with what their price is. But I just thought it was pretty. I'm betting 5 times more than what you on one game than you charge for the season. So. But we haven't come up with a price yet. I haven't really, but I will though. It'll be done in the next week.
Yeah, the other thing too that we're going to be able to do for everybody who is a subscriber to my service or a follower of me, you're going to be able to get a slight discount on Krack's site, and we'll take care of you over there. So contact me, but don't email me. I don't want to be flooded with all the people who want to sign up right now. But we'll be able to figure something out to make sure that you guys can get in there too and enjoy the season with Krack as well.
Last question for Warren, which they've coined you as my bookie's worst nightmare. He's wondering, what team do you think is in the NFL this season is the most overrated and underrated going into the regular season?
Well, I'll go ahead and tease a little bit to something we're going to talk about tomorrow, but I'm not going to go and lay the full element out there. I won't talk about the team that I think is the most underrated. We'll talk about that tomorrow. One of the teams, there's a few teams, because much like Krack does, I let the public and everybody to start the season has big expectations. They assume no players are going to get injured this year. They assume everybody's going to be fully healthy, and their team's going to be way better than what it was last year. For the most part, everybody knows Jacksonville struggles, and there's some teams that people have less better opinion on. But most part, everybody's opinions are overinflated, and that's why betting unders on season win totals often is the way to go. And a team that I think is going to potentially struggle, I think there's a couple out in the AFC West. I think the Oakland Raiders could struggle a little bit more, and I also think the Kansas City Chiefs as well. The Kansas City Chiefs, if you look at my 2017 football preview, you'll see if you go to the page where it talks about the advanced offensive metrics and the advanced defensive metrics, they are pretty much middle of the road type team. They are average at best, but they excel in a couple key areas. They are extremely good with turnovers. They don't give away many because Alex Smith doesn't go deep very often, though we'll see if they try to be more aggressive this year with Pat Mahomes coming in as his backup and pressuring him a little bit. The other thing that they do, they're very good at getting takeaways and returning those for touchdowns. Those are things that they've been able to replicate year after year, but I just don't know how long that's going to be able to continue. And the way that their win total is priced, it's assuming that they're going to have all that good turnover luck once again this upcoming season. And I don't think that's a sure bet. So I think the Kansas City Chiefs are a little bit overhyped, in my opinion, this upcoming season. So with that said, thank you guys very much for all the questions and the comments. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow at 12:30, but I'll go ahead and try to post another video or two later tonight. That'll just be on my Twitter feed. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at SharkFootball. Obviously, you probably are. But Krack, go ahead and give him your Twitter handle if you remember it.
You know, it's funny, not being a social media guy. Is it at Bill Krackomberger?
Yes.
Is that it?
So if you get on Twitter, I'll retweet. I'll have Bill retweet a link to this, and then I'll retweet that to you guys. It's at Bill Krackman, and you will obviously want to be following him on Twitter as well. Again, reiterate that today is the last day that you're going to be able to get the early bird discount on my 2017 NFL package, college package, or combo package. You can pay after the Super Bowl ends if you want to get on board for the entire season. And I'm looking forward to doing these all week with you guys. Hopefully you liked it, and we'll see you tomorrow.